But the end of these two wars affords us an opportunity. It allows us to refocus our intelligence and military assets and resources to other parts of the world where they are needed, where we face new challenges. This is the world you are graduating into. This is what I want to talk about today with you for a few minutes. I believe we, and particularly you, your class, has an incredible window of opportunity to lead in shaping a new world order.
The greatest threat on this front springs from the distinct illiberal and external actors who equate their success with fracturing the liberal international order. We see it in Asia and the Middle East, where China and Iran would clearly prefer a world in which they have overwhelming sway in their regions. And I'll not mince words. This movement is principally led by Russia. The affirmative task we have now is to actually create a new world order, because the global order is changing again. And the institutions and rules that worked so well in the post-World War II era for decades, they need to be strengthened.
Joe Biden is a candidate who represents the neoliberal agenda the most out of anyone running. He promotes violence and war, even Holocaust, and wants a new world order. His foreign policy views are dated and hostile.
People didn't talk to one another over the war. And we were told, drop out, go out to Haight-Ashbury, get engaged. Shortly after I graduated in '68, Kent State, 17 kids shot dead. And so the younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break.
Biden represents the swamp in its entirety. Biden has a long-standing history of doing the wrong thing and never apologizing for them, just as Hillary Clinton did in 2016.
Biden's interrogation of Anita Hill upset and inspired women across America. His vote on Iraq is another strike against him. He also wrote and voted for the Patriot Act.
His domestic policies focus on the corporate interests rather than the people's, while opposing things like single-payer healthcare. Biden's no progressive, as he claims, and has expressed pride in his voting record. A voting record that is very shameful.
Just as Hillary did, Biden voted and helped pass legislation targeting Black Americans in the past. Biden's agenda is to deceive and create the same disillusionment the Democratic Party has incorporated for decades.
We choose hope over fear. We choose unity over division. We choose truth over lies. And we choose science over fiction.
They do not have the capacity to take this nation down. They don't have the capacity. And look, what the president's doing here, to tell your audience, the president is doing the right thing and he should keep his eye on the ball here.
Biden is part of the problem. He's an imperialist by nature. He's someone who will continue the same operations Obama and Trump have, and likely will bomb the same countries that they have as well. Biden's ties to the banking industries are another huge blow to the average voter who want money removed from politics altogether. A great site for information on Joe Biden is JoeBiden.info. The site takes you to an honest website that represents the real Joe Biden. It also features his terrible voting record. A voting record that consists of the following:
his vote in 1996, where he voted against same-sex marriage, his vote for mass incarceration, which targeted Black Americans, his vote against abortion and women's rights. It also documents his stance on pro-segregation regarding busing, his famous vote for the Iraqi war, his war on drugs that put many young Black Americans in prison for nonviolent offenses regarding cannabis, marijuana.
Our careful, and I mean careful, attention to building and sustaining the liberal international world order, with the United States and Europe at its core, was the bedrock of the success the world enjoyed in the second half of the 20th century. An era of expanded liberty, unprecedented economic growth that lifted millions out of poverty, a community of democracies that to this day serves as a fulcrum for our common security and our capacity to address the world's most pressing problems. Strengthening these values that served our community of nations so well for so long, is paramount to retaining the position of leadership the Western nations enjoy and preserving the progress we've made together, and I would argue the health of the remainder of the world.
Biden's agenda is much more clear. He's focused on what benefits him and this global order he is referring to.
I'm an Obama-Biden Democrat.
Biden is a conservative on paper, and Obama has admitted that he is a moderate Republican.
Tell the committee what was the most embarrassing of all the incidences that you have alleged.
Side by side, Biden and Trump are the two most dangerous people in America. They will continue bombing and killing in the Middle East, constructing fabricated false flags to continue the endless wars.